Hello, sir. I wanted today to do a little bit of Gyaru inspired makeup. I'm not a Gyaru, and it's not truly going to be Gyaru makeup. It's still gonna have like emo and other sub-style influences when it's all together, especially with the rest of the outfit and accessories and stuff. But I've been playing around with it because I've just been super inspired by a bunch of different Instagram influencers recently, and it's just been nice to do something different. I honestly think, personally, that actually, like, especially the big droop eyeliner type stuff doesn't even, like, actually look that good on my face shape, realistically, but it's just so much fun to do something different because I was in such a makeup rut for a long time. So let's just get started, shall we? The main things you'll need is a lot of eyeliner, both white and black. I recommend the NYX Epic Wear Face and Body eyeliner, especially for the white. I'm also going to be using the black one, and then some eyeshadows that you like. And I'm also going to be using a bit of this white LA Girl concealer to help with the crazy nose highlight, which I think will really be the star of the show more than anything. So I've already got my base on. I've got my foundation, some thinner eyebrows, for me at least, a couple of rhinestones in the shape of a eyebrow piercing, some contouring, highlighting, and blush. A little bit of lip gloss just to keep my lips hydrated. And I did do my neck paint, even though that's very not Gyaru. It's more visual K than anything. But yeah, so let's get started, and I will chitty chat about my life a little bit because I just need to for my sanity. But what we're gonna do first is do some eyeshadow. I'm gonna go in with a liquid eyeshadow first, just so I can carve out the shape that I want, but you don't have to use a liquid for this. You could use just your regular eyeshadow. I would recommend a primer, but I don't really plan on doing a whole lot today, so I'm gonna skip that. And as far as shape goes, I'm gonna go for a lot higher than I would normally put it, and more of a rounded shape versus like the super duper cat eye type shape that I normally do. This is the Halsey About Face matte eye paint. I think it's called like fluid matte eye paint. It's amazing. So I'm still gonna bring it out to an angle, but I'm not gonna make it nearly as sharp as I normally would for my style of makeup. Typically you do see, like, if there is eyeshadow, because not everyone does it with the Gyaru type look, a lot of times it is like very big, round, super high up, very drag-like. I think especially like us Americans and stuff, like drag is kind of the easiest sort of way that we can conceptualize Gyaru type makeup. So I'm excited to be doing this and sitting down and enjoying this today because it is a hard day. I have been going through it, hence me not making much content. You know, I had that super high of like cool things happening in the gym, and then my cat passing away while that was going on, and I very much so was using the gym to like run away from my emotions and pain, which is something I've done for a while. But as far as all the vices that I've struggled with, it's not the worst, honestly. So now I'm going to start putting some eyeshadow down. I just have a big fluffy brush that I normally use with any blues. I'm going for blue. You can do whatever color you want. I'm mostly going to be using this bright blue that is almost gone from this Warrior 3 palette from Juvia's, and this ColourPop Bulbasaur eyeshadow, which is really shimmery and pretty. But yes, all of that happened, and I came back too quick, too aggressive after my deload, after I hit my big numbers in the gym, and I got an arm injury. I thought I broke my arm for a second. It was really bad. I was bench pressing. No, it was not a new max, but there were a bunch of different exercises that I had recently been doing that were pissing off my arms, and it was just too much, and I actually added on way too many sets. So I wasn't lifting heavier than I ever had, but I was doing a lot more volume than I had ever done, and my body warned me a bunch before this happened. But my arm cracked while I was benching and went kind of limp, and obviously I stopped benching some of this shimmer. I'm going to focus most of it on the inner part. Long story short, I decided to go to urgent care the next day. Originally I was like, this is a soft tissue injury, I messed up, this is my fault, I'll go figure out how to rehab this on my own. I'm grown, I did this to myself. But I was like, you know, I have health insurance, so I should go, like, take advantage of that, because I had more symptoms the next day. I had full use of my hand and my elbow and my wrist. My wrist hurt. Kind of felt like sprained, maybe. But it wasn't anything crazy. There was a little bit of tightness in my hand the next day, but it was nothing crazy. Urgent care misdiagnosed me with a broken arm. They said I snapped my radius, bench pressing 150 pounds. I'm now gonna do this white frosty eyeshadow from Ulta Beauty. They put me in a soft cast for 48 hours and sent me to a orthopedic surgeon. Orthopedic surgeon was like, what the hell? This is not broken? And I was like, huh, yeah. Kind of figured that when I was able to carry trash bags with the same arm the same night. It just didn't feel good. It was a dumb idea, but I was able to. He took the cast off, said I'll see you in a week just to make sure everything was okay. And my arm was not broken, but being fully immobilized in a soft cast was not only extremely difficult to cope with as someone who lives alone, and all of that, and was facing down, what, 3 to 6 weeks and probably a hard cast if it was truly broken, accepting that reality and everything. The time in the soft cast definitely really screwed up my arm, actually. Not being able to move it, get blood flow to the tendon, because it was definitely some sort of tendon issue. It set me back severely. But I was on the road to recovery for that. And then more shit happened, which I will get to in a second after I do this other eyeball, and I will be back and we will start on the eyeliner. Okay, so the usual magic, Juvia's Place liquid glitter eyeshadow in the shade Fula. Just a bit on the inner part. This is also what I use as highlight, if you're wondering. But yes, not to get like too into like the nitty-gritty every day, because it's been a very long 2 weeks. I had a friend that was moving that week. I thought I was gonna have to literally go to the club in a cast with a broken arm, and obviously like not drink or party at all, because Jesus Christ, you have to do everything right to heal a bone quickly. Ended up getting to go out and party, and thank God I did, because shit was about to get crazy even more. My friend moved. I was sad. It was also like these fucking people keep like leaving and then coming back to do yard work, so we're just dealing with it. But I'm gonna start making the shape for the eyeliner with a tiny art brush and some black eyeshadow to be very precise with it. That medical mistreatment, honestly, which was very mild compared to what happens to a lot of people, genuinely, like, my arm was really fucked up after they kept it in that cast for that 48 hours. And maybe it was already gonna get worse, but it was so bad. I could not hold a bottle of water without excruciating pain. I could not get the muscles in my hand to engage. I went from benching 155 pounds to literally just 2 days later, I was finally able to carry a water bottle in that left hand, and it felt like genuine training stimulus. My workout for my left arm started with being able to use it to pull up my pants at all and stuff like that. And just being thrown into shock by being told that somehow I'd managed to break my radius. Just bench pressing as little and weak as I am. I'm not like crazy weak, but like, dude, what? So that was really hard. So I'm going to draw a little line down, and I kind of like the droops they start off pretty close to the eye. And I don't feel like I look big with a super huge one. Or, I don't feel like I look good with a super huge one. I think that's good for me. And I will, of course, do my big wing, inner corner point thing. Which I see some people do and some people not do with this style of makeup. Wow. But that was really hard, going through all that stuff, being misdiagnosed, showing up to this orthopedic specialist who was like, what? Well, obviously during this time, especially when I thought I was going to be in a cast more long term, it was like, leg specialization phase, I guess. So I started pushing my leg machines really hard, especially since I could not really safely squat or deadlift, obviously, in the early stages of healing. I got under the bar as soon as I could, 8 days after, for at least some barbell back squat practice. I didn't deadlift for 2 weeks, but I was like, okay, I guess I'll just, so I will do a small wing, but it's mostly just going to be to bring it all together. I don't really see wings very much in Gyaru makeup. But I will do very thick, thick eyeliner. And then I'll also draw on some bottom lashes, which is not required at all, but it's what I like to do. So I started leg pressing like crazy to try and retain my my leg drive strength for both squats and deadlifts. I've got my black eyeliner here. And this is going to be TMI and not the sexiest topic, but it's something that a lot of lifters go through, and also people in general go through throughout their lives. You probably already know where I'm going with this. But it does involve like the digestive system and the end of the digestive system. So if you don't like hearing people talk about that kind of stuff, I'm not going to get super graphic because I'm going through it and I'm tired. And also it's not a super graphic situation for me, luckily. But it is still something that happened and is seriously affecting my lifting for now, on top of healing this. As you can see, my left arm is doing things, but it is a very slow comeback. I was like pressing super heavy. It was not a new weight, once again. Nothing new, but something heavy. This is the NYX Face and Body waterproof eyeliner. It's great. It will stay on even with like my under eye creases and everything. I experienced a hemorrhoid flare, and I have done so many high rep squats and deadlifts, so many heavy low rep squats and deadlifts for a year straight, and I have never had any sort of hemorrhoid flare. And I fucking got it just leg pressing heavy. Just desperately trying to retain my strength while being injured. And I'm so mad about it. And I'm very lucky that my symptoms are very controlled. I'm very lucky that this is the first time I've ever dealt with it. But unfortunately, it has been well over a week and my symptoms have not gone away. And it is pretty obviously a situation that might benefit from even a mild procedure. Just because it's still there. Do not yell at me about fiber. I eat a lot of fiber, and you can actually eat too much fiber in this situation. Most Americans don't do that, but I have a history of being vegan, so I have actually struggled with eating too much fiber in the past. Sir, like I said, I'm doing some really thick upper eyeliner. So don't yell at me about fiber. It's not about fiber. It's not about any of that. I just was very stressed out and probably bore down with my pelvic floor while I was leg pressing heavy. And I know not to do that while I'm squatting and deadlifting, especially as someone who does not have a rod between my legs. I'm terrified of basically outing myself in the gym, which, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty obviously not a cis man, but I'm terrified of pissing the floor deadlifting heavy. So I feel like I'm very good about, you know, keeping my pelvic floor engaged when I'm doing those big compounds. But I think I just didn't have that as part of my thought process when I was leg pressing heavy, and that's probably why that happened. As well as the level of stress I was under. I was probably pushing myself harder than I needed to. And yeah. So, I'm gonna go ahead and match this eye and then come back. Anyways, yes. So, now I'm going to do a bit of white accents. I've seen people do white accents in a few different places when they do Gyaru makeup. Maybe either the actual underneath part, or actually like right here underneath that part. I've seen a few different ways, so I'm literally taking this having not even decided where I'm gonna do it today. I think I want to do it under here. Maybe a little bit of both, actually. I have been finding I've been wanting to do it on the inner part more often, just because I'm so used to having those big, like, exaggerated under eye bags that I like to do. So yeah, that happened. Yeah. Not very LOL. And so I made a doctor's appointment and was like, it'll probably be fine before then. And it wasn't. So I was quite glad that I had made it, even though I really didn't feel like it. I hate going to the doctor for anything, even normally. And I didn't have a primary care physician, and I was like, okay, well, this is also an opportunity for me to finally set that up. I am going to have to fix under my eyes, which sometimes is just the case anyways with heavy makeup like this, but especially when I'm filming it, that's pretty common. But I was like, okay, cool, I will also get a primary care physician out of this. Let's go do it. And he didn't even really examine me, actually. He was like, with the way you're describing your symptoms and everything, and that this seems to be an external situation still. Yeah. I want you to go get looked at by a colorectal surgeon, just to see if maybe something needs to be done. And he was like, it would probably be a very short procedure, which I had already done tons of research by this point, as you do when you're in this kind of situation, and I knew he was probably talking about banding or something like that. not a full huge surgery like they sometimes do have to do, which a lot of people are understandably scared of, because there are people who have had children and like crazy back surgery and stuff who sometimes say that the recovery from that specific kind of surgery is the most excruciating thing they've ever been through. And I have a very high pain tolerance, but I'm not in a good psychological place right now, so yeah. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and tightline my eyes. We're getting to the nose soon. And we're also almost through talking about my health stuff. I'm sorry if you don't care about that. But yeah, I'm not going to put this all the way around my eyes. I'm mostly just going to put it right in the inner corner and on the top. So I've been going through obviously a lot of emotions of like, and of course I asked him what I was supposed to do exercise-wise in the meantime, and of course he was like, well, nothing where you need to brace, no leg pressing, squatting, deadlifting, and then he said, and I quote, upper body training is fine, and in my mind I'm like, upper body training isn't fine right now though, because I'm bench pressing the bar feels dangerous right now, and that is my current re-entry to bench pressing is 45-pound bar. That is how weak I am now and how fucked up I am. So I'm just like, alright, I'm like actually screwed now. Like, I did way too much, my body warned me, and I ran myself into the ground, and it was 100% my fault, but damn, this sucks. But of course, also at the same time, I'm like researching and stuff, and I see how common this issue is, and that, you know, I really start to be super appreciative the longer and longer, you know, I start waiting for the call for my surgeon referral, and it's taking forever, and I'm calling, and I'm just getting transferred around to voicemail boxes and stuff. This is just mascara. And I'm starting to be really fucking grateful that my symptoms are what they are, because there are some people going through so much worse with this specific kind of medical thing, and I can't imagine sitting around waiting when you literally can't sit. The good thing about having to get up and go finish the other eye is that I'm not supposed to be sitting for long periods of time right now, which luckily I fucking hate doing that anyways. Literally, like, the majority of my lifestyle, thank God, is like pretty good for hemorrhoid recovery, because I love drinking tons and tons of water. I love consuming fiber to the point where I have to be careful to not have too much, and I hate sitting. So I'm active, I'm hydrated, I typically have very predictable, good bathroom times. So now it's just a matter of managing my stress and my mental health so that I continue those habits even when I don't have the gym to keep me motivated as much for them. And in general, you know, trying to take care of my mental health when I don't have heavy lifting for it. Okay, so now I'm going to do my little eyelashes, which are super easy. I've done them on here before, but I do like to kind of map out where I want them to be with that same little art brush. But anyways, basically, it's been like 3 weeks since I messed up my arm. 2 weeks, I think. No, a week and a half since the initial. I always like to do one that starts to kind of go up on the end so that it kind of blends into my fake lashes that I'll do. And now I'm going to use the e.l.f. liquid eyeliner because it's got this really nice thin paintbrush tip that is so perfect for super detailed work. And I'm not talking because this is a lot of work. I like to make them thicker up towards the base and then slowly work on making them longer and longer. See, this is starting to look a little bit like Gyaru. Maybe nothing amazing, maybe nothing incredible, but it's starting to. I'll go match my eyes and stop sitting for a second. Yay. So, almost done talking about that stuff, but basically, super lucky and blessed that I'm not in like a ton of pain, that it's pretty easy for me to manage right now, but finally got a call back today, and the soonest they can see me is the 27th. It's the 8th today. So it's been 3 weeks since I fucked up my arm. The amount of time away from training the way that I like to train is looking very long. I've got this, I'll show you what I just did. I've been loving having this little like nude colored liquid eyeliner from NYX, and they have a bunch of different shades. So even if you have deeper skin tone, there's a chance they might have one that will still work similar. But I've been loving this as like a quick, easy little hack to just fix stuff that I messed up. Like just using it to just like make sure I've got this nice like bright skin color right down here. Boom. And I just used it to like clean up my lines a little bit. So easy. So that sucks, obviously. And my favorite things in life right now are heavy lifting, beer, and spicy food. And partying. By dancing late and having a lot of beer and spicy food. You know what all the things I'm not supposed to do in the meantime until the 27th? So, yeah. I have not been perfect when it comes to the lifting or the spicy food. I'm fine with not drinking for a while. That's fine. But the lifting, at this point, that many weeks out, I'm gonna keep lifting heavy. I'm already detraining so fast. So I'm going to lift heavy carefully, and if something bad happens, it's my fault. But I think considering the fact that I'm willing to adhere to literally everything else, and also, here's the reason why I'm kind of like, I think I'm gonna keep lifting. The things that I have found the most aggravating for my condition currently have actually been a lot of my upper body lifts. Like sitting on the lat pull down machine and stuff. That pisses it off. I have actually leg pressed since it happened, and I did the same weight, actually. And I was like, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I just, at the same time, I actually kind of feel personally like I should. And like I should go in and do this and focus really hard on keeping my pelvic floor up and train myself to do this correctly, and I did not have a re-aggravation of symptoms. And I've squatted multiple times since, and even last night, I squatted way deeper because I forced myself to go way lighter. And even those super deep squats where I was really way down in there, my hamstrings were making out with my calves, and I haven't squatted that deep in so long. It was nice. Not a re-aggravation of symptoms. Sir, I'm gonna use some eyeshadow to do some lighter lashes in between. So I'm going to be stupid, basically, but only in one way. And I know, even just from the research that I've done, that a lot of doctors run into people who do what I do, which is, you know, refuse to stop lifting heavy. But they also run into a lot of people who keep eating the same foods that aggravate their symptoms, that keep drinking alcohol and stuff like that. I will adhere in every way, but I've got to lift what I can when I can and figure out what that is. And that might mean maybe I do too much sometimes. It's been the same way with healing my arm. I won't know until I try. So that's that. Luckily, being that, you know, my max squat was like 225, my max deadlift was 315. That's not that much weight. It was, you know, hard work for me to get there, but it's not going to be that hard to get there again, because it's just not relatively that much weight. So the cool thing about being a smaller lifter, a little trans guy, or maybe a woman or something like that, or just someone that's not that big and strong yet, even if you are a cis man, is like, if you do injure yourself, or you go through surgery, or like a move, or a divorce, or a breakup, or something, and you truly like take like a month or a couple months off, which I don't recommend, but sometimes shit happens, your path back up to where you were is so much shorter than like a big huge guy who benches 315 for reps. I was doing 155. The 155 was the most I ever lifted, and this morning, with the way my left arm felt, I was able to bench 55 pounds. I had 5 pounds on each side of that fucking barbell, and I hated it, and it made me very sad. But I was able to do it, and last week, I could only do the bar. So, and 55 to 155, not a huge, long path. I don't even seem to be, I'm not able to add weight every workout. I might not even be able to add weight every week with how fucked up my left arm is, honestly. And yes, I should probably be looking at a serious physical therapist, but money, and I did it to myself, and if I learn how to rehab this, honestly, I feel like I can rehab anything. But yes, so this is most of the eye makeup done. Let's go ahead and do the fun part, which is the nose. And maybe talk about some other things, or just focus on the makeup, probably mostly. Sure. I'm just gonna clip my hair up a little bit. A little bit, maybe. Perhaps. Maybe I will. Jesus Christ. I'm trying not to mess up my curls. Yes, so, nose time. You're gonna want some contour, some foundation, and some white stuff. LA Girl concealer for the blended out part, but most of this is going to be done with the NYX Epic Wear liner. So I gotta get nice and close. But yes, game plan going forward is to just take it one day at a time. I also won't be surprised if my lower body issue, if I take care of it, it might fix itself before my appointment even, honestly, because it's so goddamn far out. Okay, so I've got quite a bit of foundation on my nose, which is perfect. This is definitely a makeup look that needs a lot of coverage. So I'm literally just going to draw a long ass, skinny ass rectangle on my nose. There are other styles you can do, but I like this one the most. And I find it easiest to just get in there and start. Now, unfortunately, I do have a nose where I kind of have a deep nose bridge. A big divot there, so it's always going to look a little funky unless it's like perfectly straight on. But it's still fun to do, so I've been doing it anyways, even if I don't have the perfect nose shape for it. And there's probably other styles I could do that would look better, but I don't really care. So I think it's easiest to get it as down the middle as you can, and then to start thickening up each side. Because I think, you know, I think this big white stripe looks better if it's a bit thicker than some of the like super tiny e-girl noses and stuff. And with making it bigger, you can slowly make it more even if you realize it's kind of leaning more on, like, for example, it's kind of looking like it's too far to the left. I can add more on the right to kind of bring it more in the middle. And there are lots of fun different like contour styles you could mix with this. You could do like a heart on the tip, or like kind of a cross, like an upside down cross. There's so many things you could do, but I do, for this look, like to just kind of have it end in like a little curve. Not a true rectangle, but just like a slight little curve at the bottom. This stuff is super, super waterproof, so if you get it somewhere you don't want it to be, and it dries down really dry and thick. So it'll stay, but one, you will see a lot of your face texture. That's just part of the trade-off of it being so waterproof. But also, try to move it while it's still wet if you get it somewhere you don't want it to be. I'm gonna go look in the mirror to try and get this a little straighter. It's kind of hard to do this on camera. Okay, so now I'm going to blend this up. So I would not recommend this makeup for anyone who's like self-conscious about having like a lot of texture. Like if you're someone who doesn't like your makeup to look like really makeup-y, at least do not use the NYX waterproof eyeliner, because like I said, it'll stay on, and it'll look just as white and bright and be in the place you put it, even if you wear glasses like I do, which is crazy, but you will see like every pore, every little dry patch, every little everything. So, and honestly, I feel like that's been true of like every Gyaru makeup person I've seen. And that's like not tea or anything, no shade. It's literally just like, it's heavy makeup. Taking the LA Girl white concealer and going to blend this out up into my foundation. But yeah, I've been super into Gyaru, Fruitiger, that like super 2000s aqua, what we thought was futuristic at the time type of thing. Okay, now I'm going to use some more of this NYX eyeliner to try and blend this better. These products admittedly don't blend together the best. There still tends to be like a really stark contrast between the two. This has definitely been the part of the nose contour process that I have been struggling to figure out my preferred method with the most. But good God, even when I do kind of a shitty job, is it so pretty? In my unasked for opinion. Where the hell is the brush that I want? I can never find... Oh, here it is. This brush is like really short. So it's always hard to find. So I'm going to take this like shiny white eyeshadow. And set this. So any texture I have in between my eyebrows, which is someone who shaves my eyebrows and has a unibrow naturally, I've got plenty, is going to be large and in charge, but it's okay. It's kind of a fun challenge, honestly, of like accepting my skin texture and everything, making myself do this makeup. Okay, so now for the contour part of it, you could just leave it like this, and this looks really crazy and plenty Gyaru. But I like to actually add an element of like true nose contour to this as well. So I'm gonna grab a couple of brushes to be able to do this. And what I'm gonna do is gonna be something that, for me personally as a glasses wearer, does not stay on all day, but with the setting spray I'm gonna use, stays on relatively well. I really need to designate a specific brush for this. Anyways. Okay, so I'm going to use a combination of this lighter taupe and darker taupe. So it's going to start off kind of like how you would think a nose contour would. And then we're going to get into the more like fun, true trick part of it. So I'm going to bring this pretty close to that white. A little bit of space in between it, but not much. Doesn't have to be super perfect. And you'll see why in a second. It's a shame that I started doing my makeup like this as a glasses wearer, because I do lose this part of it more than anything. So I am going to take a little bit of the darker one on a small brush and just get it a little bit darker, a little more intense in a couple spots. Blendy outy again. I've always been into like super like almost costumey levels of contour, but it's just always been kind of a waste of time as a glasses wearer. I'm just gonna do a little bit on the tip of my nose. I wish the tip of my nose was longer, so I'm not gonna do that much. Okay. I'll be right back. I'm gonna take some foundation, and this is going to be fun. Really quickly make sure I'm okay with that level of blending. It really doesn't have to be perfect though. I don't care that much. I'm sure I will go in after I'm done filming and do a lot of adjusting to my makeup. But I've got my foundation, and then I'm gonna take a small brush There's a better one. Oh, here it is. Small paintbrush that I always use with my foundation to clean things up. Alright. And I'm going to carve out the sides of this contour. Fuck. Okay. It's okay. Yeah. I'm sure if you're like really into makeup, you've seen other people do this. I also think bringing it kind of up to meet that eye makeup looks nice. Once again, pretty drag-like. I've seen a lot of drag looks do that with the nose contour to eye makeup ratio. And at this point, it's your world. You bring it in as close as you want to. I'm definitely gonna have to do that side off camera. I can't see what the fuck I'm doing. Okay. And then, I'm gonna take my powder, which is the MAC Studio Fix, the old formula. Sobs. What have they done? And really set the fuck out of that. Because I want that to stay. Now I'm gonna make sure it's all even. Okay, so I got it mostly how I like it. Very important step as a glasses wearer trying to wear this kind of makeup. Maron Barrier Setting Spray. This is what I use to keep my neck paint on. This also managed to keep the majority of this on my nose as a greasy glasses wearer in 90-something degree weather with extremely high humidity. The nose contour stayed on. Mostly just the highlight, but most of the contour did too the other day. I was very impressed. So, I'm going to cover my septum ring for the most part. But I will say, you can smell it. It is basically hairspray and will probably break you out and clog your pores. But your makeup will stay on, so I mostly just use it like once a week to go clubbing or whatever. Obviously, not really doing that right now. I mean, I probably will go sober clubbing at some point while I wait to see if I need literal surgery or a small procedure. Probably not, but we'll see. Probably something really small and minor. Hydration. I'm going to go clean things up, make sure it's looking how I want it to, and put on some lashes, just normal lashes, nothing special, and then probably come back and do some designs. Okay, so I used the Eyelure Splendor lashes. They are my favorite and have been my favorite for years. I think what I want to do to make this a not super basic look is do some leopard print to match my shirt. So I'm going to make my blush a little bit brighter to kind of match that a bit more, because I did it not quite so bright before. I feel like I don't often see like super bright blush with Gyaru. I mean, maybe it is still brighter, just because everything else is brighter, but I don't feel like it's like a focal point. I did see someone recently, one of the people that I was inspired by, do like chin blush, and I tried that. I feel like that does not look good on my face shape and everything, so I'm not gonna do that, but just regular. And the cool thing about cheetah print is it's really easy. You just make blobs. You make you can do some regular circles, and then you do like the not quite closed off circles. So I think I'll do it kind of big and chunky, so that it's really visible. Kind of fucked that one up. Damn, this is like right around the time of year when I actually did leopard print hair dye on my sides. It was like hot pink to purple ombre with black leopard print spots. And it's like such a mixed feeling because I was super unwell in all the pictures of that time. I had relapsed really bad with eating issues. And I was like, it was mostly like an unintentional relapse, and then right around that time, like I just like crashed out and gave up. Wasn't even trying at that point. And it's obvious. I looked rough. And I have admittedly been struggling with a lot of urges to go back there now that I can't lift the way that I want to. And have inevitable body image anxiety about it. But truly, a month or two out of a year of modified training, let alone actually completely stepping away from training, it's not going to change your physique that much. You will get back to where you want to be, I promise. I'm gonna do white dots in the middle of most of them to make it more intense. But yeah, so easy. Boom. Just make some semicircles and then a few circles. Oh my god, it's leopard print. Amazing. You're a wizard. It's that easy. I think I'm gonna bring it further up my face there. Yeah, I like that more. Yeah. 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 Cool. I'm going to put some foundation on my lips to do a very, very 2000s sort of lip. But I'm gonna put a little color on. I wish I had Snob by MAC so bad, but I don't. I'm gonna put just a tiny bit of this old, discontinued NYX lipstick on. And then this actually little Twin Stars Wet n Wild lip gloss that I love. It's super, super light. Oh, it's so pretty. And goes really well with any super light, very 2000s lip look. Okay, so I'm gonna go do some leopard print on the other side. Now we're back. All right, so here is the final makeup. I added some arm warmers and cat ears because, Marrow, you only live once, or whatever the fuck. The rest of my outfit is this fun skirt. I think I got it from, so it's a really cool kind of VK style leg warmer skirt suspender thing. I just added this random little heart to it. Why not? To tie it all together. I think I got it from Nev Studio. they're kind of just like a Instagram shop type place. The top, leopard print top was thrifted. The little black top is from Ross. Ross is one of my favorite places to get really simple basics for layering. I even got like a Yu-Gi-Oh t-shirt to work out in recently from Ross, so that was cool. Ross is cool. But yes, life goes on. As far as like all the things I chitty-chatted about, I'm just gonna keep training the best I can, listening to my body, learning my lessons, and I really miss my kitty cat. I'm thinking about maybe looking into adopting a new pet maybe for my birthday in October. I was really trying to like push myself to try and get a car first, but it's really hard living alone with not even, you know, now she's gone. It's like, wow, oh, big empty life. And of course that's like increased by me not being able to lift how I want to. That will free up space for other things in my life, but it's taking a second for me to be able to embrace that and enjoy it instead of just being pissed off that I can't max out my squat and deadlift. So, but yes, if there's anything you'd like to see, let me know. I do want to try to make more content and stuff in the meantime. It helps me to like, you know, kind of jazz myself up into like a hello, welcome to my video type of mindset instead of just sitting around feeling pissed off about my situation. So yes, meow meow meow, meow meow meow, bye.